Welcome back and thank you so much for joining me today. So we are looking at conversions, converting between percentage, fraction and decimals. So to start off, I'm going to be looking at fractions and decimals because that is the easiest link for us to be talking about today because we've already touched on that. So with fractions and decimals, I've got a fraction here, so I'm going to put that over in here, a half. To change it to a decimal, we need to be thinking about what that line means. That line means division. So we are going to be dividing. So any fraction we get, we can turn straight away into a decimal. So I've got one piece, and I am sharing between two people. Can I do that? I can't. So I put a 0 up here. That one piece gets cut into tenths and it gets turned into 10 pieces. 10 tenths. Now I've got 10 tenths and I'm sharing between two. Can I do it? I can. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That means each person gets 5 tenths and there's nothing left over. So that is my decimal. 0.5. Let's try again with another fraction. So if I go 3/5 as my fraction today, and I am wanting to change it and into a decimal, I've got 3. Numerator is what I have. The denominator is what who I'm sharing with. So I've got 3 pieces and I'm sharing with 5 people. Can I do that? No. So that means I put a 0 and I carry the 3 over and drop the 0. Because I dropped the 0, I'm going into parts, individual pieces, which means now I've got 30. I've got 30 pieces. Can I share with 5 people? Yes, I can. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Each person got 6 tenths. Now, the way we look at this, to get it, if we go the opposite way, decimals into fractions, we are thinking about our place value. So we've got the answer. And now we're going to work backwards so we can make sure we're understanding how to convert both ways. So I've got ones, I've got a decimal place, tenths, hundredths, and I'll put thousands here. Okay. So if I've got 0.5, I'll write 0.5. The number in the decimals finishes in the tenths column. So if I want to write it as a fraction, I could write it as 5/10. Wow, if I simplify it, 5/10 is the same as a 1/2, a half. How many 5s in 5? 1. How many 5s in 10? 2. Let's try that out with 0.6. 0.6 finishes in the tenths column. So, which means it will be out of 10. What's common between 6 and 10? 2, because they're even numbers. That is the highest common factor. So, 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Wow! So we can work backwards. Let's do one last fraction together. 3/4. Again, the top number, the numerator, is how much we have. So I've got 3 pieces and I'm sharing with 4 people. Can I do that? No. So I put a 0. I put a decimal place because I'm carrying the 3 and I'm dropping the 0. So those 3 pieces have turned into tenths. So I've got 30 tenths. Now that I've got 30 tenths, I'm sharing with 4 people. Can I do it? I can. 7, 14, 21 is 28. So 30 divided by 4 equals 7. And I've got 2 left over. So those 2 tenths turn into 20 hundredths. So now I've got 20 hundredths and I'm dividing by 4. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. Or we can go 4 times what equals 20. So each person gets 5 hundredths and there's none left over. If I write that in my place value, 0.75. Where does the decimal end? What column? It ends in the hundredths column. So I can write it as 75 over 100. Wow! Now I can see that 75 over 100 is actually the same as 3 over 4. Because what does 75 and 100 have in common? 25. How many 25s in 75? 3. 25, 50, 75. How many 25s in 100? 4. 25, 50, 75 and 100. So now that we can convert between both fractions and decimals to fractions, the last part that I would like to look at is changing it to a percentage. What is a percentage out of? It's out of 100. So, if I'm thinking about 0.5, I might redraw this. So I've got my decimal place, tenths, hundredths, and thousands. Oh, awesome. So, now I better put my ones there. So if I have 0.5, we know a half of 100 is 50, so we know it's going to be 50%. That's what I already know. Let's see how it applies. So, percentage is out of 100, so I can straight away move this and look at the hundredths column. And 0.5 is the same as 0.50. So that means it's 50 out of 100. 50 out of 100, which means it's 50% when it's out of 100. If we don't know that, then another way we can look at it is 0.5. We're multiplying it by 100, so we're getting 100 times bigger. To get 100 times bigger, we are moving the decimal place two spots to become 50%. Exactly the same if I'm looking at 75 out of 100. We already have this out of 100, so I'm going to say it's 75, or move the decimal spot 2 places to the right because it's getting 100 times bigger. Now, hopefully you are understanding this. Just remember to get it back to a fraction and a decimal. To get it, the easiest thing to get it back to a decimal before we move it to a fraction. Just remember that. And if you want to get it back to a decimal, all we're going to do, if we're timesing it by 100 and get to 75, we are dividing it the opposite way by 100 and we get to 0.75. So we're just doing the opposites. I'm going to put a couple of questions up and I would love it if you could have a go, and then I'm going to go over it with you. So I'm just going to put one fraction up and I'd like you to show me it as a decimal and also as a percentage, please. 1/3. I'll give you a few minutes. Please pause the video, have a go, and then we'll get started on this question. Okay, thank you so much. Let's have a go at this question now. So I've got 1/3 here. Do you remember what that line means? That line means a division line. So I'm going to rewrite it to convert it to a decimal. So 1/3 is the same as me saying I've got 1 and I'm dividing by 3. Can I do that? No. So I put a 0, I drop the 3, and I drop the 0 because I've carried that 3 over. Remember when we drop a 0, you put a decimal place. Oh, I don't know why I put that 3 there. Should be 1. See, we all make silly mistakes because I didn't use that 1, so I carried that over. Now I've got 10. 10 divided by 3? 3, 6, 9. Oh, 3. How much do I have left over? 1. So that 1/10 gets turned into 10 hundredths. Oh, 10 divided by 3. 3, 6, 9. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Got 1 left over. Drop the 0. 10 divided by 3. 3. It's going to keep on going. So for my decimal, I'm just going to write it as 0.3 with a dot. That dot means that 3 is going to keep on going on and on and on. But when I'm writing as a percentage, I want to make sure I've got some of my 3's there. I don't just want to leave it with a dot on the first 3. Because, do you remember what we have to do to get a decimal to a percentage? We need to be looking at it in the hundredth spot of the place value. So I could look at 0.333. I could just say it's 33 out of 100 and say 33%. But I've missed, I know it's going to keep going with 3's. It doesn't stop. So that's where in this case, I'll use it this way. We are multiplying by 100 because it's 100 times bigger. Percentage is out of 100. So because I'm multiplying by 100, I'm going 1, 2, 30. So that means the decimal place is moved here and it becomes 33.3%. I've got that 0.3. So if I want to be accurate, I need to make sure I've got that 0.3 there. Hopefully that helps. Thank you so much for joining me on our conversions today. You have a lovely day and I'll see you next session.